Mirasee.
Hi, I'm Danny Iny, and this is Making It, the show that offers tips for making it online. I run a company called Mirasee. I teach people how to grow their online businesses and particularly how to create online courses. So I've been an entrepreneur, I like to say, for longer than my adult life. I quit school when I was 15 to start my first business. And an early memory is that I was involved in a telecom startup. So, we were negotiating with one of the big telecoms in the region, and we me and a business partner who was a quote unquote grown up, we go to this meeting. It's like an evening meeting, and it's the two of us and maybe 8 executives around the table. And I remember this so vividly. The person who was running the meeting, his assistant, comes in. She says, "Would any of you gentlemen like coffee?" And then she turns to me and says, "If you like, I can get you a hot chocolate." And, I was mortified. My face turned red. I was the youngest guy in the room for a very, very long time. And I mean, now I'm in my, late 30s. This is, the oldest I've ever been, which is a joke, but not a joke. But being the youngest guy in the room and being the guy that, being an entrepreneur is usually not most people's path of least resistance to success, right? There's a lot of uncertainty there. I could have, I could have been a doctor. I could have gone to business school. I could have not dropped out of high school, right? There are a lot of things I could have done. And so, combine the uncertainty and the second guessing with being the youngest guy in the room, and you come up with a real chip on your shoulders, right? Of like, you've got something to prove. And combine that chip on your shoulders, that's something to prove, with some successes, and you can develop a massive amount of arrogance, right? It's like, I knew it. I told you, I'm just smarter than everyone, right? I can figure this out in a way that nobody else can. And, when you are working from a place of having something to prove to other people or realistically to yourself, you're not coming from a place of service. You're not thinking about the people that you are responsible for creating an outcome for, whether it's your employees, your team, your family, your customers. And that's where you start making bad decisions. I guess coming back to the original idea of, what are common mistakes along the way to making it, is that the closer you get to making it, the more opportunity there is for you to let whatever baggage you're carrying lead you to blow it. My experience has been that, whatever success you achieve, whether it's financial, whether it's recognition, whether it's, whatever you achieve, it helps you become more of who you are. And that's for good, but it's also for bad, because we all have good traits and we have bad traits. And the things that you haven't dealt with, the pettiness, the insecurity, the need to prove something, and if it sounds like I'm projecting, then I probably am, it just gets a bigger stage and more resources with which to play. For me, what matters is contribution, like feeling like I'm making a difference to someone, and growth for myself. Those are the two things that are really important for me. And freedom to be able to do what I want, when I want, in the way that I want, to take the risks that I want to take, which I guess is a bit of a misnomer, because the freedom to take the risks means they're actually not that risky. That's kind of what the freedom does. It de-risks the risks. But yeah, having those things, I think you've kind of made it, or at least that's how I used to think about it. It's changed for me a little bit now that I have kids. As we record this, my daughter is 5.5, my son is 4. And what I found is that having kids, it dials in the things that are important. More and more, I see making it through a lens of, am I modeling the right things to my kids? Right? Is this what I want them to grow up and aspire to? Not in terms of doing exactly what I'm doing, right? I mean, if they're healthy and happy and doing something that they find fulfilling, that's what matters. But, am I modeling for them that I'm pursuing things that I'm excited about, that I'm interested in? Am I modeling for them that work is not something you have to do, it's something that you get to do? Am I modeling for them that it's very worthwhile to slow down and help someone when there's an opportunity to do that? I think that's all a part of making it. I make enough money now. I'm fortunate that I'm not uber wealthy or anything like that, but I don't need to be, right? I have a comfortable house. My kids have food on the table and books on the bookshelves. Those are the two important things in our family. And that's enough. So, is it worth doing more? Is it worth creating something bigger for the people that we can contribute to, for the people we can help, for the example to my children that you can reach for more and do more and contribute more? Absolutely. Is it worth running myself into the ground or being absent from my children? Absolutely not. So I don't think it's a matter of like getting to your deathbed and taking stock. Like there's a scorecard of, years of having made it, years of not having made it. Am I coming out ahead? Right. But, every moment, every year, you're either living the kind of life you want to be living and moving the direction of doing that more or not. There's a metaphor that I give my students sometimes about this difference between riding a train and surfing on the waves. And the idea is that, a lot of people conceptualize life as being like getting on a train, like riding a train. So maybe you have to run to catch the train. Maybe you've got to hustle to get enough money for the train ticket. But once you get on the train, you can sit back, relax, and it's like you've done the hard part. Now you can, you're on the track, and as long as you're sort of paying attention, looking out the window for the right stop, it's like you're good. You can take it easy. And the other metaphor is the metaphor of surfing. And one of these days I'll take an actual surfing lesson and see if I'm butchering the metaphor. But, I imagine that, no matter how good of a surfer you are, you're never, on the board waiting for the waves to just quiet down so the water is perfectly still. So you're like, okay, now I'm good. I can take a nap, right? That's not part of the experience. The water is always changing, and your comfort with that doesn't come from knowing that there is no uncertainty coming. It comes from trusting in your competence to handle that. And I think there's something parallel to that with making it, in the sense that, you don't do it once and now it's done, right? People imagine that. They're like, well, you're gonna build a business, and then you're gonna grow it to such a degree, you're gonna sell it, you're gonna have $50 million in the bank, boom, you've made it. But there are enough examples of people, making fortunes and then losing them, and then making them again, losing them. Like it's not a permanent state. And your happiness, your fulfillment isn't necessarily tied to your bank account balance. But I guess the most important meta lesson is that the opportunities for failure tend to be cyclical. Meaning, if you come up to a certain situation and stumble, you're going to keep coming up to that kind of situation until you figure out how not to stumble. And so, treating all of those failures, all the successes too, but it's somehow harder to be self-aware when you're being successful. Seeing it all as a kind of curriculum, a learning opportunity, is really, really important and really powerful, because whatever it is that made you stumble, you're going to encounter it again and again and again until it stops making you stumble, and then it kind of fades away and it's no longer an issue. Life is a long series of steps. Life is a long series of things that you do. And, there's a tendency for people to, it's called the end of history fallacy, right? The idea that, everything was leading up to this point. And so whatever the thing is that you're doing right now, this must be, you're living the first line of your obituary. Like, this is the most important thing that I've ever done. It's right now. And, as I've done more things, as I've achieved more things, I've actually come to realize that there's probably more to come. There's other things. The next thing is important, but it's just the next thing. I'm Danny Iny, and you've been listening to Making It. You can find me at Mirasee.com.
Making It is a Mirasee FM original production. This episode was produced by Cynthia Lamb. Danny Iny is our executive producer. If you like this episode, you might want to check out Just Between Coaches, the podcast that explores the really tough issues that coaches face every day. So you don't miss the great episodes that are coming up on Making It, go ahead and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening right now. And if you like the show, please leave us a starred review. It's the best way to help us get these ideas to more people. Thank you. We'll see you next time.